Are comedy clubs inherently hostile environments for women?
Well, they are dark basements full of angry men.
Do you think that comedians should be able to say whatever they want to say without any repercussions?
Well, I mean, if you're trying to be funny, I think. I mean, everybody knows the difference between saying something, like Michael Richards said something in anger.
Shut up! 50 years ago, you had your upside down with a fucking fork up your ass! Rolls out, he's a nigger! He's a nigger! He's a nigger!
Oh my God.
A nigger, Luke is a nigger!
And reasonable people can sense when you're trying to be funny and when you're trying to be angry. So if you're trying to say something funny, yeah, I think like Matt and Trey said from South Park, it's either all okay or none of it's okay.
Are comedy clubs inherently hostile environments for women?
Well, they are dark basements full of angry men. You don't get to say that comedy is the sacred, powerful, vital thing that we have to protect because it's speaking truth to power, blah, 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 and then also be like, well, it's just a joke. I mean, language doesn't affect our lives at all, so shut up.
But the relief of comedy is it takes things that aren't funny and it allows us to laugh about them for an hour, and then we have the rest of the day to look at them like they're as horrible and sad as they really are.
What would you say to that, Linda?
Obviously, our opinions on how speech affects the world are very different. I don't know, if you don't believe that the pervasiveness of jokes where the comedian, by the way, isn't making fun of how horrible rape is, they're making fun of someone who got raped, often, like in this, you know, I mean, it's just a crutch, by the way. It's not even edgy at this point. It's hacky at this point.
I'm not going to defend bad comedy. I'm not saying you're wrong about that.
Like,
none of us are going to defend bad comedy.
No, but, and, like, the comedian taking on the role of the rapist in the joke.
Two things about the rape joke. First of all, I understand what you're saying about someone saying, hey, I'm the rapist. And you could say, okay, that's a terrible joke, and I'd probably agree that joke sucks. But the point of that joke would be the misdirection of saying no reasonable person thinks that guy is telling the truth. Nobody thinks that he's actually going, hey, I'm the rapist, and meaning, and I want to say too, you're talking about, well, that by trivializing it, it's encouraging it. Your Twitter picture is Jeff Goldblum. Jeff Goldblum's first role was a brutal rapist in Death Wish.
Goddamn rich cunt! I kill rich cunts!
He picked up a blackjack and he said, you rich C, and he called her the C word, and they beat her to death in Death Wish. Now, we all understand, oh, that's an actor doing a role, but why as an artist do we give an actor a pass for convincingly playing a brutal rapist, but go after a comedian for making fun of something and mocking something? And like, why do we allow an artist to do something convincingly that brings up, what's going to affect a rape victim more? Seeing that rape acted out properly, or hearing a dumb comedian make fun of it? I mean, let's be really honest.
Yo. 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 Yo.
Like, why does my vagina have to be your crutch? Like, why does my vagina have to be your
cunt?
Can't you use something that's yours? Like, why do you have to come in to my oppression?
I think the best way to end this is for Lindy and I to make out for a little while in front of this entire crowd.
Maybe you and I make out for a little while?
The thing about the Tracy Morgan thing, it's like...
That whole thing I thought was bullshit.
It was. The Tracy Morgan thing?
It was absolute ridiculous bullshit.
But hang on.
Tracy Morgan is in some very hot water today for telling some very homophobic jokes at a show in Nashville last week.
The first thing he says is, gays need to be tougher about insignificant things like bullying. And then he said, if my son talks to me in a gay voice, I'll pull out a knife and stab him.
I can't stand people who everything's funny, then the shit comes around to them, and then all of a sudden they stop saying it's jokes, they say it's statements. And I'm not saying, because I wasn't there, and he got like tried. Look, you weren't there, I wasn't there, and I just felt like he didn't get a chance to say. He just immediately went into apology mode, and then all of a sudden they're parading him around like this trophy.
And this is the only thing I'll say. You get to say whatever you want. We all get to, right?
Absolutely.
But the second it comes out of our mouths, it's no longer in our control about how it's supposed to be interpreted.
The person who said it knows what they meant by it. If you process it in a fucked up way, ask him how he meant it first.
But you don't get that luxury. As a comedian, you don't get the luxury to say, but I really meant to say it this way.
I realize that.
But here's what it really rests on, is that the whole thing came off of one guy's blog. Every
One guy's interpretation.
news item about it.
Did Tracy deny saying it? No. Did the guy get it wrong? No. Those two things
How do
we
you know that?
Because Tracy didn't say, wait, dude, that's not exactly what I
Yeah, but
said.
whether he said something offensive or not, I just thought it was fucked up that one guy went home like with, I guess, the greatest memory ever, like a stenographer, and typed it out, and everybody's like, that's what he said, and that's what he meant, because guy in seat number 5F said it. And next thing you know, he's going around got to apologize. That's kind of a scary thing as a comedian.
Well,
I've
and it
seen
wasn't
Tracy's
funny.
act, his show is crazy.
It
His
is
show
pretty
is pretty
crazy, yeah.
over the top. I was trying to remember what he was heckling. I just remember cocksuckers, so I think we were talking about gay people.
There we go.
You know, the fucking lesson here is the gay community has a very strong activist community who, when they hear shit against them, they take it to the mat, and guess what? Shit happens.
Yeah, but I don't agree with that. Guess what? Shit happens. That word, it can mean other things. It just can be ball breaking anytime you play sport. I was playing hockey the other day, okay? And this guy, he knocked me down. I felt stupid. I got up. He asked me, he goes, you all right? And I go, yeah, you faggot. Like, it was this oddly intimate moment. He was going, are you okay? And we were on the ice, and it made me uncomfortable. And I said, hey, you faggot, get away from me.
Like, why was it that faggot was the word that came to you when he was trying to help you?
These are the questions that they should ask, rather than saying, you said it, so it means this. Why did it come? Because of the way I grew up, because of the way guys are. You're not supposed to be, I fell down, are you okay?
I have a Liz Winstead story from when I was an open micer that I'd like to share with you. She's on stage. She had her friend Janine DeTullio, who was a very funny comic from Boston. They're all palling around backstage, this whole girls' club. She got on stage, and she said, I'm hosting open mic night, and when I'm here hosting open mic night, I've got rules. She has a list she's reading. She decides that she's going to interrupt the stand-up comedians while they're on stage and stop them from performing their jokes. This guy, Brian, I forget his fucking name, he was a guy who would struggle to keep it together on stage every time. And he was a very gifted comic writer, but a very uncomfortable performer. So he goes on stage, and he has this joke. Something about, I always make sure I open up the car door for my hooker. And Liz Winstead interrupts. Stop, stop, stop. Sexism. And he says, and don't think he doesn't appreciate it, which is his punchline. Okay,
Shit.
so she's standing on stage right after he says that, and she stopped him, and he's so awkward. He's got his eyes closed during his fucking thing.